Hello, Buddhas. Today we are going to talk about what it means to be triggered. Now, Buddhas, before we get started, I've got a playlist down below with well over 100 Buddha Billionaire videos that you can binge watch right now to speed up your spiritual awakening. Now into the topic of getting triggered. Did I trigger you? I'm sorry, because at the end of the day, every single freaking thing that you do in this entire world can trigger someone. Even the idea of talking about triggering someone could be a trigger for someone. This really came about in my life through some specific relationships where loving relationships, but I really took on this air, this nice guy position of I'm not going to say or do anything that's going to make you react in a way that I don't like. It's this very controlling mentality, I'm going to have the power because I do what you want, but that's kind of my game, so really I'm not doing what you want, but I'm doing what I want to do to prevent you from being triggered. Now, obviously there are certain things in the world that are quite triggering, murder, etc. I'm not going to go into a massive list, but there are some really triggering things out there that I don't want to see and I don't want anyone to have to see or deal with or talk about. But I've come to the conclusion that I spend so much of my time in conversation making sure that I don't say something that's going to upset the person that I'm talking to. And in doing so, I'm not being true to me. I am trying to play this freaking nice guy role that has gotten to the point where when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, that's not even me. That's that guy, that nice guy, that just saying the thing so that you don't react in a negative way, possibly a negative way, because it doesn't even mean it has to be a negative way, but saying the thing so that you don't react is not the right way to have a conversation. And this has taken me a really long time to learn and to start to understand, but the real way to converse between multiple people is to say your truth. That doesn't mean to immediately just insult the person and have a bunch of negative crap to say about them and be really rude. No, but if someone asks you about something, your job is to actually give your response, not a response that's going to make sure that they're not upset, right? And again, this harkens back to specific relationships in my life with people that I considered at the time to be very sensitive individuals, where I was completely disregarding how I felt about the situation, but I knew that these people in my life who I loved dearly were quite easily reacting to the way that other people treated them. And one in particular was a relationship with a girl in the past who really had a hard time with the way that other people were criticizing her and all this stuff. So I made it my mission, essentially, to be that rock, to be that shoulder to cry on a little bit, and not to do things or say things that would make her feel like she was being mistreated. And that really set off in a direction that became me just doing and saying the things that were making her stay in a calm state and stay happy and not treating her like anyone else. And obviously there was never an intention to say negative things, but I would hold back what I actually thought about what she was talking about because I was fearful. I self-inflicted, developed this myself, but I would become fearful that anything that I said that was too pushy or too empowering or too whatever, being like, hey, honey, you need to start to deal with this on your part and all that. Like, I would never have those conversations because I was scared to trigger her. And that ultimately led to the end of that relationship because I was so afraid of triggering her that I couldn't speak how I was feeling in the world anymore because I was afraid that that would make her feel bad. And ultimately, that created a massive disconnect between the two of us, and it led to us no longer being together. And I look back on this and I go, yeah, I can totally understand why I would feel that way and why I did what I did, because I had no idea that I was doing it then. And the reason that I bring this up specifically is it's not to get mad at yourself. It's not to try and fix the past. And it's not to justify what you did. But in looking back on that now, I can see, okay, I was afraid that something, an action, a word, a phrase that I took would negatively affect someone I love. So I made sure never to say anything that could possibly create that tension, that slight, not a competition, but that slight resistance, that slight friction between two people that actually allows a conversation to take off. And I really avoided that. And now I'm living my life in a way where, again, I don't just go around and say, you have an ugly face, but I also don't hold back when someone asks me how I feel about something. I'll go and I'll just say how I feel about it. And a great example of that now is I just had a conversation with someone at work, and they were like, hey, haven't talked in a while, how are you doing with this whole, 2020/2021 situation? And I was like, you know what? I actually feel fantastic. I have never been better. This has been an absolutely incredible, life-changing event for me. And they kind of looked at me, they were taken aback over the Zoom call, and they were like, oh wow, I did not expect that as an answer, because most people, when they ask how are you doing, just kind of expect, oh, I'm all right. But spoiler alert, nobody's just, oh, all right. That's just a commonality and just a phraseology that we use to dismiss having a real conversation. So I really took her aback by telling my truth, but I didn't say anything that was wrong or lying or negative in any way. I just spoke from the heart about how I feel about the situation. And honestly, right now, I can genuinely say that, trigger warning, this has been the best year of my life. Fact. And I know that that's not the case for every single person involved here, and if anyone has any comments down below, please add them. But for me, personally, I have gone through an incredibly deep self-realization and development process in the last year. And that's why I want to share it with all of you Buddhas. That's why everything that I say from now on will have an implied trigger warning in this video, which you can watch. Again, I'll make sure it's linked into that playlist in all the future videos, because speaking your truth is more important than avoiding a trigger. And remember, Buddhas, at the end of the day, love yourself.